Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this 23rd edition of the Together for Education webinar brought to you by Notebook. It's been more than 120 days now into the COVID-19 lockdown. Schools have been shut down for 4 months now. And when they will open, looks like it's up to anybody's guess. In this situation, Notebook decided to offer schools a chance to connect with each other across the globe, share thoughts and ideas about various issues that they were plagued with. And we started slow. We started with webinars that had 50 to 100 people. But now we are very fortunate that the event has snowballed into a series of webinars. This is the 23rd. And every week we see more than 500 people joining us. And it's been enormously encouraging. And I thank you for the same. Today, we look at a very interesting topic. Let's play. The importance of sports in the education system. The holistic development of a child cannot be imagined without the presence of sports. Interestingly enough, some of our speakers and participants today have also been sports people in their earlier days. I'm sure some of them also still continue the active pursuit of sports. Before we move forward, as Notebook, we create audiovisual content for students to find studies to be more engaging, more enjoyable. We use short videos that teachers can use to introduce lessons, can use to revise a topic, and then students can have access to those same videos once they're home on their own personal devices. This does not require additional hardware, does not require special tablets or anything to be used. But just as they would watch any other video on any other platform, here are a set of videos specially produced and curated for the students, built according to the school curriculum. My sincere apologies. I think we lost connectivity for a second there. With your permission, I would just go back to the presentation. As I was saying, this is a small snippet from a class 12 poetry video.
Now we will count to 12 and we will all keep still. There is a tone of immediacy in these opening lines. It is almost like addressing an audience at a condolence meeting, a meditation session, or a physical training class, disciplining them into silence. Counting to 12 highlights the passage of time, and it signifies the 12 hours of the clock in the daytime when our lives are full of activity. The poet wants stillness to fill our lives. The second stanza is of 4 lines.
Ladies and gentlemen, my apologies again. The internet today seems to be playing truant. All of you who are now veterans of online classes with varying degrees of internet connectivity,
Not
I'm sure can
any
sympathize.
language, because language creates barriers between people. He wants us to take a break from our daily activities and stop our movements for a second. It would be an exotic moment without rush, without engines. We would all be together in a sudden strangeness. The poet has already implored and urged us to keep silent and motionless in the first two stanzas. Now, he wonders about the nature of that moment of stillness in the third stanza. The moment would be unusual and exciting. The humdrum and mechanical nature of our routine lives tires the poet. He aspires for the moment of camaraderie and unity, which that moment of silence would bring among the people of earth.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was a short snippet, and I thank you for your patience and bearing with us as we dealt with some internet problems. With that, it is now my privilege to introduce to you your first speaker for the day. Our first speaker is Mr. Philip Burrett. Mr. Barrett retired as the Deputy Headmaster from the illustrious Doon School in Dehradun after 44 years of serving in education across various institutions. He served the Doon School as Housemaster, Head of Department, Dean of Student Welfare, Dean of Activities, Deputy Headmaster, Second Master, and Acting Headmaster with great distinction. He also carried out a visioning exercise for the Doon School in 2011 through an in-depth study of a number of British public schools and various schools in the US. Mr. Barrett qualified as a leadership trainer at Wellington College, UK in the year 2000. He's also an athlete, an adventurer, and a naturalist. What is particularly important for today's topic is that Mr. Barrett has represented Delhi State and India in long distance running across the globe. Sir, it is our privilege to have you with us today. Over to you.
Thank you, Shabayu. I hope I am audible.
Loud and clear, sir.
Yeah. And very good evening to you, Achin, Abhishek, the entire notebook team, our esteemed panel, and all the guests tuned in. This topic was right down my street. I was dying for this one to come along. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. We've heard this being said. Girls around, as people don't play enough. Play is learning. Play nurtures development and fulfills a baby's inborn need to learn. Play takes many forms, from shaking a rattle to the little peekaboos to the hide and seeks that they play with their parents. And play can be done by one child, by a child with another child, or in groups. What would we be without those beautiful playgrounds that we explored in our youth? The jungle gyms, the slides, the merry-go-rounds, the swings, the hanging bars. We learned all our innovation, our risk-taking, effort, improvisation, the courage, resilience, creativity. Everything we learned at our early age was at that park or that, a playground. Just the act of skipping, just jumping on a rope or a trampoline, it excites the endocrine system, the lymphatic system. It floods the body with endorphins. People keep well. It improves our immune system. When I was a teacher, when I saw a kid not wanting to play, I would have him checked out by the hospital. There would be something wrong with a kid who doesn't want to play. And what would life be without those cycles and those scooters and those motorboats and those remote cars? Each one has a time in our lives, and they come into our lives. Some pass on and some stay forever. Play allows children to use their creativity while developing their imagination, dexterity, and physical and cognitive and emotional strength. And as they master their world, play helps children develop new competencies that lead to enhanced confidence and the resilience they will need to face life's future challenges. Play is fun and it's also spontaneous. Learning to play well, both by themselves and with others, sets children to be sociable, to be able to handle other people. I remember when I was doing a course in England, we were all asked if we would like to learn to juggle 3 balls. This was an exercise which were teaching us who were in our 40s and 50s how it's important to learn new things. And it's amazing how many of us adult teachers didn't want to go and learn something new. And our instructors were very clear. They told us how to juggle. They broke it up into stages. But most importantly, they said, if your ball falls, if it falls on the ground, you got to laugh. You got to laugh and like children. And the people who laughed and had fun learned to juggle in 2 to 3 days. It's all about having fun. Now, we come to school as young children of 5 or 6, full of fun, full of wanting to play. And what happens? We get stuck into an exam, a teacher-centric curriculum, and studies. And play is something most parents will allow up to a certain age. And then we get the refrain, now get serious and focus on studies. And there seems to be this erroneous belief that there is a dichotomy between playing and academics, that if you play too much, you'll be poor in studies. But in my limited experience, I find that this is absolutely the opposite. I find that children who do the best academically are also the people who play well, who are the top sportsmen or the debaters or dramatists. You know, if you look at us adults, we slog all our lives to make the money we want, to have the life we want, and to play tennis and golf. And what happened? Why did that child ever stop growing? Why did that child in us, why did it die so long ago? Must we wait till we are 60 and 70 to play our little golf and tennis? Why can't we play through life? And my advice to every child is to pick a solo sport and to pick a team sport. The team sport gets you that sociability, gets you that gregarious spirit, but we also need to develop a sport that we can do on our own. And that will stand us in good stead when we are older, because it's difficult for a man of 60 or my age to start playing a team sport. Now, I can break sport into 4 parts if you look at school sports. One is play as a part of learning, play as a part of classroom curriculum, which makes your subject interesting, interactive, innovative. Things like debates, quizzes, puzzles, crosswords, Scrabble. These are the things that make learning better, more feasible. The second type of play are what I would call the informal play. The hopscotch, the cops and robbers, cooking that girls go in for, doctor. These are very important role-playing games. Marbles, tops, kite flying. These are games where a child gets involved with no adults around. And it's very important to see how when boys play, it is so competitive. And when girls play, it is full of cooperation. A group of girls playing hopscotch and a group of boys playing cricket. Just notice the difference. The other thing is the formal competitive sports that most schools do well. Team sports, which teaches leadership, strategy, how to fail, how to be humble in victory, and how to be magnanimous in defeat, how to train, how to prepare, how to be punctual, how to rehabilitate injuries, how to handle that ego. And the fourth would be an experiential type of game that we learn from our trekking and our rock climbing and our river crossing, in our rappelling. These are important games too. These are games that you learn a lot of life skills through being outdoors. Now, what makes me sad is sometimes you see the rich kids, the kids who are fortunate, the kids who come from families that have enough, the games they play, and the games that poor children play. The rich kids go into Hamleys and expensive toy shops and come out with all the electronic gadgets, from drones to remote controlled cars. And the poor children have their games too. They have their tire and a rope. They have paper boats down the canals. They have sand. They have cycle tires, as Sabayu just put up on the board. They have things like marbles and their kites and their tops, and they invent. And I think they are far more imaginative and creative than children who go into a shop and come out with a 5,000 rupee toy. If you look at the educational system in Finland, which is one of the top educational countries apart from Australia, there they build in a 3-kilometer run for every child within the school day. So, for example, you do 2 classes and then you have a little circuit, a forested circuit, where you can jog a kilometer. And 3 classes later, 3 schools later, you do another kilometer. So imagine a school kid having to run 3 kilometers a day, and it's full of fun. In Sweden, they have an orientation program. where they run from point to point using maps. They study the nature, they study nature, they study the topography, but they have to follow that map, and they have to do it within a time frame. So they are running, and they can run up to 5 kilometers every day. And I've been fortunate to travel abroad and seen some of the best schools. I went to a school called Millfield in England. Millfield doesn't just produce sportsmen, it produces Olympic sportsmen. They specialize in swimming, and their swimmers in school go straight to the Olympics. Groton, a school in America that I visited, they have an indoor facility that can host the world championships in squash 2 days from when you want to hold it. They just have to get it cleaned up. They have they have rooms for physiotherapy. They have sports doctors, sports specialists on the campus. I mean, they take their sports so seriously. Well, sometimes I feel we pay lip service to the sports that we offer. The sports masters in our schools were our heroes. Not only did they connect with us through sport on the games field, we respected them, but they also commanded the best discipline in school. So if there was a rowdy bunch of students, the principal would send the sports master along because he knew that he had our respect. There is so much we teachers and parents and counselors can learn when we watch children play. A lot of therapy is play therapy. Seeing them draw clay model, draw scale models of men, women, we can come to the point of dysfunctional families. We can seek out domestic problems. Children talk to us through their play. Children can tell us things through their play that they wouldn't tell us orally. So just a quick list down this. What does play do to us? It stimulates early brain development. Very important that it stimulates early brain development. It improves intelligence. Early playing is also found to be associated with higher intelligence later in life. It sparks creative thinking. Perhaps the most obvious benefit is creative thinking. Creativity is closely tied to divergent thinking, which explores many possible solutions and typically generates creative ideas. It improves communication, vocabulary, and language. You just have to listen to children play, and they learn so much by their fights, their arguments, their disputes. Pretending play is very important, as I mentioned, how children get into certain roles. It also promotes impulse control and emotional regulation. Kids learn how to lose, how to regulate their tempers. Well-regulated children can wait for a turn. They can resist the temptation to grab objects from other children and control negative emotions. Emotion regulation is not only essential for academic success, but it is also a predictor of social success later on. In preschool children who exhibit better emotional control, they are more likable to be socially competent. Also, it grows social competence and empathy. Children learn to feel for others. The bleeding child who's hit by a cricket ball, he evokes sympathy, evokes empathy. Children learn to cooperate. They're better adjusted. Also, of course, the more you play, you have better physical and mental health, better immunity, as I mentioned earlier. Also, games and play teaches us life's lessons. It helps us to learn to solve problems. When children act out of life's problems when playing pretended games, it helps them to cope with the struggles in their own life, in their own ways. It also provides a safe opportunity for children to rehearse skills and future social roles. It strengthens relationship with caretakers, teachers, and peers. Parents who play with their children, teachers who play with their classes, develop stronger bonds. Even a simple game like peekaboo can become a social bonding moment. A game like cricket with your teachers, fantastic. I was in my first school allowed one teacher to play with a school team. Uh, with that, I will end here because I want this to finish because I've got my high intensity interval training session immediately after this, and I am heading straight for that once this is over. Thank you very much, Sabayu. Over to you.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your views with us. And I'm a little jealous that you're going to your high intensity training after this. We much younger ones would envy you for the shape that you're in. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it brings us to our next speaker. Our next speaker today is Achin Bhattacharyya. Achin is the founder and CEO of Notebook. A chartered accountant by training, he was a director at Deloitte prior to starting Notebook. He has worked in India and abroad in various senior capacities in GE, PwC, KPMG, and Deloitte. An avid reader and a passionate traveler, Achin has a keen interest in economics, history, literature, and philosophy. He is a regular speaker at various forums and chambers of commerce, and also contributes articles to numerous publications regularly. He is also on the board of some of the most renowned corporates and contributes significantly to brand strategies. Achin, over to you.
Shubha, am I audible?
Loud and clear.
Good evening, everyone. I once again welcome all of you to this session on a topic which is very important to ensure all-round development of children. Also, a very special welcome to our eminent panelists who are here today to enlighten us with their views. A child's most precious time in school is the play hour, the recess time, time at which he or she is able to escape from the daily mundane routine of class schedules. Within the 30 to 40 minutes of recess time, we see the hustle bustle of students across corridors and in the playgrounds, converting the school's otherwise disciplined silent hours into a port of jubilance. Before I delve into the topic, let's play, I would take a few moments to share why should we play. Well, sports is known to actively rejuvenate the mind and the body. The whole concept of interactive learning is based on scientific evidence that it stimulates the brain's chemistry and physiology. So playing has emerged to gradually occupy a more significant position in a school's curriculum. What used to be a natural flow of activity among children in and outside of school has now emerged to structured football and cricket teams, badminton games, and other similar activities within the school boundaries. Many schools have lush and beautiful playgrounds where students drain themselves from the daily stress of academic and peer pressure by driving their own passion for these games. The very notion that too much of play may deter a child from educational pursuits is a dilemma that is faced by many students and parents. A very relevant concern indeed, as parents are more eager to drive the child to better academic performances. The heart of the child is still out in the grounds, where he last kicked the best goal or smashed the last hit. It's those small victories that gives him the confidence he is unable to derive from his last exam performance. Indeed, these are much more memorable. It stays with you. The glory from winning a game of cricket and bringing the best champions trophy to school is perhaps a greater milestone in the child's life than what emanates from the numbers on a performance sheet. So, what then should be emphasized? Learning, performance, academia, or sports? I would suggest that there is no reason to trade one for the other. There is no reason to even inculcate the thought that sports may deter academic performances of a child in school. Instead, could we motivate children with the thought that if you're excelling in your core curriculum, you're also bound to excel in your sports? Indeed, if you're an outstanding mathematician, nothing stops you from becoming an excellent cricketer. A career choice among the two can come much later when the child is matured enough to understand what's the bigger passion among the two. With this, my friends, let me give you some wonder examples. Mansoor Ali Khan Patodi studied at Balliol College, Oxford. Khan studied Arabic and French and was an excellent student. In his cricketing career, he has been named Tiger Patodi. At 21, he was the youngest player to lead the Indian cricket team. He has played a total of 46 test matches for India and has also served as the captain of the Indian cricket team. Similarly, Abbas Ali Beg, a great timer of the ball, and an attacking batsman between 1959 to 66, had played 12 matches for India, went to England for his education at the University College, Oxford. He had pursued philosophy and English and earned a blue badge at Oxford. More recent examples are Anil Kumble and Javagal Srinath, both of whom hold engineering degrees. Brazil soccer legend Socrates was so good, some named him Dr. Socrates. The attacking midfielder is one of the greatest ever to have played the game, and his status stretches beyond just his home nation. He also held a doctorate degree in philosophy. Andrei Ashevin, a star of Russian football team, rose to fame in the mid and late 2000s after battling for Zenit St. Petersburg and Arsenal. Ashevin later earned a master's degree in fashion designing and is now one of the most famous designers in his home country. Now, this really proves the point. So, physical activity is as essential to children as food and sleep. It dictates every phase of their growth, starting from their regular habits to performing well in academics. With the advent of gadgets and almost everything going virtual, most children prefer remaining indoors. Add on to that the rush of life, pressure from academics, and the stress to excel, continuous stress and expectation. All these ultimately lead to inactivity, which in turn negatively affects their way of living. This is the very reason why the best schools focus so heavily on physical education. Making this a part of the curriculum compels students to leave their rooms and go out to play. It's entirely different from recess, as physical education is focused more on an activity which tends to go missing in a child's life. Now, few benefits, some of them Barrett sir mentioned, so just few passing remarks on those. For instance, physical activity really promotes healthy habits, and these habits are there for lifetime. An hour of physical exercise every day ensures good sleep patterns. Also, it improves metabolism, which will trigger hunger. Inactive children are more prone to consuming junk food, as the absence of hunger makes them picky. They tend to opt for the unhealthy and tasty options, which are not good for health. Child obesity, this is one of the burning issues, not only in our country, but across the world, which needs to be acted on. Recently, I was watching a TED talk by one of the eminent speakers, and he made a very valid remark that the current generation of Americans will definitely live a few years lesser than their predecessors. Now, that's a dangerous remark. With the advent of better technology in medical science, that's scary. And child obesity has got to do a lot with it. Regular physical activity burns away that extra fat, and healthy eating helps the situation. Now, studies have shown that physically active students are capable of dealing with stress better than the inactive ones. Physical education stimulates positive thinking, makes students comfortable with taking up new challenges, and boosts their overall confidence. An inactive student may often appear demotivated and have a feeling of why try at all. Thus, this pushes the body to new limits, and an active student will readily accept the task. Regular physical activity releases endorphins that are known to affect our mood positively. An active student tends to remain optimistic and hence copes with stress much better. They remain organized and disciplined and are capable of stepping out. Now, we also discussed, it's very clear that there's nothing, it's not an either or between academics and physical activity. Both can go hand in hand. But it's very rightly mentioned that all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. An ideal brain does not respond to academics as well. Daily sessions of physical activity stimulate a major portion of the brain and strengthen its potential. This is proved. Research has shows that higher fitness level results in higher academic scores. Through sports and exercise, the congenital part of the brain remains active and functions differently, as it would in case of academics. It improves concentration in classrooms and a student's analytical skill. Now, another very important aspect, I think very, very important, is peer-to-peer relationship, which physical activity and sports definitely does wonders for. Physical education is generally a group activity in schools. Playing a sport together and doing an exercise in groups develops friendships and promotes sense of teamwork. This improves the social skills among students, which ultimately helps them in the long run. The time for physical education can be used for interaction, which is generally not possible during normal class hours. Now, playing a key role in a team's win or outrunning a classmate in a marathon can instill self-confidence. These are more moral boosting than surpassing in academics. Another important aspect is self-discipline. I think physical education involves doing some physical activity in a particular time span. Thus, what happens is this teaches the student to value deadlines and rewards of meeting it, which is very important in professional aspects of life. They become positively ambitious and goal-oriented. Unlike inactive students, they continuously strive for success and tend to aim higher. This also helps in learning personal skills. The captain of a team learns leadership. Every team member learns to respect their peers. A race teaches students hard work, while exercise shows the mind the importance of training. Thus, physically active students pick on life's lesson much faster and in the right way. And these are habits for lifetime. Being out there in the field helps the brain to reason and memorize the necessary skills. With this, I once again thank all of you for giving me a patient hearing, and I look forward to hear the views of the eminent panel. Over to you, Shubhai.
Thank you, Achin, for sharing those wonderful views and those wonderful examples. Particularly the example of Mansur Ali Khan, the late Nawab of Patodi, the youngest captain ever of the Indian Test team, and somebody who went on to teach the Indian team how to play as a country's team rather than the small fractions that existed before him coming on. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time to introduce our first guest speaker for the day. Our first speaker today is Mr. Sanjay Dutta. Mr. Datta is an economics honors graduate and a postgraduate in history. He's got degrees in education and management. A keen sports person, he's played competitive tennis in his youth, and a trained mountaineer, he now spends time riding horses and bikes. He has experience on working on curriculum design for IGNOU National Open School and working at NCERT besides teaching postgraduate. He has a rich experience of working in boarding schools and is presently responsible for 3,500 students as the head in the 2 schools at Udaipur under the charitable initiatives of the royal family of Mewar. Sir, it is our pleasure and privilege to have you with us. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me with you this evening. But then let me tell you, I did mention that, it will be good to go early because Mr. Barrett and Achin have taken away most of my points. So I really don't know what to do and how to fill up the time that you've given me now. But then I'll put all my experience to use to try and occupy this slot positively. While I was preparing for it, I thought, there are 2 ways that it can be put. One would be an academician's presentation, and the other could, of course, be talk of personal experience. And I think listening to the first 2 made me decide midway that I think I'll talk more about personal experiences than anything that's off the shelf, So the first thing that I remember from very early on is that there were evenings which don't happen anymore. Often from the how would I put it? Let's say often from the fields of yesteryears, a boy comes to me, a boy back from his evening play, the boy I used to be. And this is something that came to my memory after a click while I was listening to the rest of the speakers. The boy asks me, why don't I play anymore? And I have all sorts of excuses to give. I have excuses like I don't have the time, I'm getting late in my office, I'm tired. But then the boy still asks me the question, he says, you remember it used to give you the happiness which you miss now in life. And maybe, I still am able to give the same answer that I'm tired and I'm overburdened with work. But then the fact of the matter is, it is nothing but laziness. And once you get out on the field, the boy comes back. And he comes back with such force, and the joy that he gives, I cannot tell you how all the fatigue of the day vanishes. So just as I was able to quickly adapt to the change of a prepared presentation to an impromptu talk, I think sports teaches us a lot of things. And one of them, as Achin rightly put, is you have the decision-making force, where you have, he was talking about divergent thinking, creative thinking. So you have a ball in your hand, or rather in your legs on a midfield, and you want to decide what to do. Depends upon who's in front of you. What is the position of the players? Where would your pass land? And what angles would be created by that? I think that is one thing that sport teaches you, which you should carry with you throughout life. Because you may have a plan, but as you know, the Murphy's Law is eternal. Things don't go as per plan. You have to make mid-flight repairs, you have to change things, you have to chop. If you're a team player, then you will have players in your team who will behave differently than you had given them the roles. You may have assigned them a certain duty, and you thought that this is how each one is going to behave. And suddenly you find that that's not happening. So you need to change that. And then to take everybody along, the major leadership task. How do you come up to that? So I think these are the things that come naturally on a play field, which is what we know as children. We become straitjacketed later in life. And then as you lose your enthusiasm, and you stop trying new things, you lose your ability to make the change that you wanted to. I'll share with you my screen now, and I will share with you a small presentation which I had prepared for today. If you go on and see what I thought would be a good thing to begin with. On my slide 1, there is the quotation which I have always liked. It says, "The Battle of Waterloo was won on the playfields of Eton." And I'm sure Mr. Barrett will agree that Eton is a place that definitely has given their country 20 odd prime ministers, and it has given them 37 Victoria Cross winners. So if Eton did not have a play field where the boys jostled with each other playing soccer or whatever, I don't think that character building would have happened. And this character building is something that they need to learn in schools. And between a classical day boarding school rather to a modern school where you are coming there for practically 6 hours, and then you have coachings and you have everything else that you want to rush to probably what is now called as dummy schools, I think we are somewhere depriving our children of the opportunity to learn this character building. And I don't know how they're going to be very, very qualified, but I don't know how they're going to fare in the battlefields of life as it comes. So sports education not only teaches to maintain physical stamina, the habit of obedience, discipline, determination to win, and willpower. And this has been forgotten, that academic learning and education go complementary to each other. If sports education is carried out properly, accompanied with academic curriculum, the personality of the student is bound to be enhanced. And the qualities of leadership, sharing, team spirit, and tolerance can all be learned further. And just to take the point further, I just took a picture of Suyash Jadhav for everybody to realize that when you say that it is just the spirit that is built, it's also the physical challenges that are learned to be overcome. And what I had talked about, chipping and chopping midway, your classical training for a sport might ask you to play in a certain manner, but what if you don't have a limb? That is another thing that you get to learn. So besides the power of reasoning, mental development, vocational specialization, you get the all-round development of the students to the extent of how to overcome physical challenges. Government of India, of course, has brought about Khelo India. It's there on your screens. You can have a look at it. We know the program has been introduced to revive the sports culture, especially at the grassroots, because your national game, hockey, and I had the good fortune of, in my childhood, of meeting the the two brothers who between them scored 24 goals against USA. And then I think they only stopped because they stopped enjoying it. I'm talking about Major Dhyan Chand and his brother Roop Singh. Imagine from there, where has hockey gone in India? Although it has come up from time to time, but then it was a grassroots that was throwing up these people. If you see the Heroes Ground in Jhansi, you would realize that that place is not as alive as it would be, to put mildly. The importance of adopting sports in education in 2011, the National Sports Policy, it stressed on sports and physical education and human capital and increasing productivity and fostering social harmony. But typically the school activities provide, things which are enjoyable, supervised activities of youth. The school athletics reports are healthier. They have better eating habits, higher levels of cardiovascular fitness, increased parental support, and decreased anxiety and depression, something that seems to be the next pandemic. My next slide is about a person that I have liked all my life, and his name is Edwin Cole Moses. And he says, I always got to my work before I got playing. And the picture on the left is a giveaway of what he did. This gentleman played in 3 Olympics. One he could not, Moscow, because of the boycott. He, for 9 years, 9 months, and 9 days, held the record for 400 meters hurdles, which is the killer event. The sports people would know it. He won 122 races in his lifetime and never lost one. The match, the following, the thunder has been stolen. So Socrates and Javagal Srinath, you both know what degrees they had, professional degrees they had, besides playing for their countries. But I'm sure you can still get a little lost between Mata and Moses, but that's no secret. So just to quickly finish that, Socrates was a physician, and not only, as told to you earlier, not only was he a doctor, but he earned the degree while playing for his country. Now, the excuse that I gave in the beginning, that maybe, I don't have the time, I'm tired, I've had a long day. I'm sure you know what it is after 90 minutes of playing, how you feel. But to go on to become a doctor after that is simply amazing. And same went for Edwin Moses. He was doing his physics and industrial engineering on a scholarship when he started doing the hurdles. So imagine somebody getting into a college, and you know how difficult the college education is in the US, especially on scholarship. You drop a few points, you lose your college seat. And here is a guy who then goes on to learn how to run 440 meters flat first, and then 400 meters hurdles, and goes on to represent his country in 3 Olympics. Joan Mata, the present generation would be more familiar, holds a degree in journalism. There is a shift in mindset, because that question was raised, and it was valid, because most of the speakers come from a generation where parents really did not understand the importance of sports in building your ability to study. So now we see there is an interesting shift, but then that shift seems to be limited and restricted more, and as Andrew Burrett put it, to the more affluent societies where you have parents driving the children to a football or a swimming coaching session and driving them back home. I think between Khelo India of grassroots and this kind of an elitist preparation, we will have to bring a movement in every school, in every child, in every parent, where we know that the way forward is to change the mindset of the community as a whole, rather than a few individuals. Sports and games became crucial roles in helping development of human minds and body. Parents should encourage their children to get involved, and activities can prevent them from getting involved in negative activities and increasing their quality of life. So here I have a picture, and this is with the permission of the parent and the child. This boy, Krishna Raj Ranawat, comes from my school, and I take the liberty of talking about him for a minute. The boy had a checkered career. He comes from a neighboring community which has access to the big pool that we have here in Udaipur called the Lake Pichola, and the famous Lake Palace in middle. He comes from that neighborhood, and the boy had to be counseled twice to not drop school. because you have all kind of influences coming here because of the tourist influx, and the boy might just slip through the cracks, the temptation to not be so academically inclined. But then here he is. And you have Veer Dhavalkade, the youngest swimming Olympic, appreciating his 5K sea swim. So here are live examples of how these kids can be inducted to a session, and that would change their careers. We talked about some of the positive effects on their minds. Well, it's no mystery that a lot of things come from chemistry. You have endorphins, estrogen, dopamine, and serotonin being released in your body as you do this. As you play, you get a kick of dopamine, something that I believe is the reason why people are sticking to screens. The blue light of mobile screens seems to be giving it to kids these days. So here is a very good scientific base to why they should move out of that, and they will get an equally good kick out of it. Serotonin, of course, and estrogen surprisingly did it, but and morphine is as good as morphine. So good sportsman learns to obey what? The rules of the game, comments of the superiors, teaches them leadership qualities, teamwork, and trains the students to face defeat with a smile and humility in victory. And this is the healthiest means of refreshment and recreation, not to say also the cheapest. Well, India seems to be going that way. So Delhi already has a university that is being built for sports. So the national capital is soon going to see a future for children. And I wish the university and the government initiative good luck. And I would like through this webinar for children to know that there is a place for them away from the usual university education systems. So it should encourage them to take part in sports more and more. The effects are that they are introduced to the benefits of healthy lifestyle. Kids, you already see that. And introduction of sports curriculum at an early stage can then be the building block for future sports person. Strong ecosystem along with stakeholders, federations, clubs. So that these are the other ways that you can get into sports programs. I would finish with the rumble in the jungle, which is something that I think I used my COVID period at home watching all the old videos. Here is an example that, no education system can teach you. This is George Foreman versus Ali, where George Foreman lost in 1974 to Muhammad Ali. He lost his title. And 20 years later in 1994, after becoming a brother and preaching for a long time, working with kids, he regained his WBA and IBF crown. And he regained it not only after a gap of 20 years, but also against a 26-year-old Michael Moore, while he himself was 46 years, 169 days. I don't think that's something any education book will ever tell you. I request every parent to read these chapters out. And if they feel there is nothing else that a sportsman can do after retirement, well, here is another example. You take Matthew Flamini, who has now got into biochemicals and is trying to give us a fuel which is away from the conventional fuels. So there is a future for sports people after retirement. It is not just coaching. You can be anything that you wish to be at any stage in life. Thank you so much for being with me this evening and listening to me patiently. And I do hope that it will bring about some change in the way people look at sports in this country. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for that wonderful presentation. Just a personal question, sir. Which is your favorite football club?
Well, I know if I was to start that, you will start, but then I still am a good old Milan fan, and I think I will remain that, although I had my good players play for Liverpool, but then I think that ended very, very early. So anytime...
As a football fan, I'm always curious about this particular answer from speakers we bring on board.
And then you can always have a long debate as to who is the best player in the side.
Sir, I've been an Arsenal fan all my life. I have lost my right to debate long back.
Well, I haven't shifted my loyalties either, But then, as I said, it's AC Milan because you have most of these Latin American players come and play there. And I think that's the reason why the charm has continued.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
After that wonderful presentation, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my privilege to introduce to you our next speaker. Our next speaker is Miss Anupama Shah. She is the principal of the Bal Vikas Progressive School in Panipat, Haryana. She is a distinguished educator with over 26 years in education in various administrative capacities, wherein she has worked with a plethora of top schools pan-India. She is a certified child psychologist and is passionate about introducing, experiencing, and accepting the change in life. She believes herself to a learner throughout and an ardent believer of the thought that each one of us is born with some or the other extraordinary skills and need to be identified and polished by bringing progressive changes in our traditional education system. For her, teaching is not only a passion, but a way of life where she finds solace and peace. Ma'am, it is a privilege to have you today. Over to you.
Thank you, Subahu. Hello, everyone, and good evening to my fellow panelists and all the viewers. Thank you, Notebook, for calling me here to share my thoughts for Let's Play. From the time immemorial, we all have heard everybody preaching that a healthy mind resides in a healthy body. If we are looking forward for an intelligent young assets, we need to keep them healthy, and health comes with games, sports, and of course, healthy food. But with the decades of globalization, our generations have moved from playing football outside in the field, in the playground, to playing FIFA in front of their TV screens. We all must have seen the infinite efforts of the gaming industries, which is bringing generations after generations closer to the screens and far off from the roots of game time, which is actually a playfield time. The time of the theme of this webinar has been extremely relevant in today's time, which has turned up to be the issue of everyone's concern. It's not only deteriorating the immunity of the children, especially now with the entire lockdown situation and zero movement of almost all of have emerged, all the more essential to tackle the mental health too. In the pre-COVID time, I could proudly endorse that my school, Bal Vikas Progressive, is in real sense has looked after the sports and games as a measure for overall development of children. But for the last 120 days, with the lockdown in place, we are constantly inventing the ways to keep our children connected with games through virtual aids. And this emotional and mental toll of abrupt change to their schedule of a huge concern. The children find difficulties in coping with a lack of structured learning, friendly competition, and most of all, social interaction with the teammates that comes with participation in sports. Now, talking about games and sports, they are integral part of good health by keeping our muscles flexible, bones strong, blood circulated to our entire body, and keeping us mentally agile and strong. Looking into today's scenario, it seems that sports is probably one of the activities that the students are hesitant to participate in, mostly because of the advent of newer ways of entertainment in the form of online gaming. And drive for sports activity in true sense has therefore lost its entertaining allure, as a younger generation tend to enjoy more in the virtual worlds of online gaming. The development of entertaining platforms like social media has made actual sports activities even less popular. This shift is in fact quite unfortunate considering the extensive benefits of participating in sporting activities. The most critical traditional aspect of sport activities for students is probably as an entertainment source. Back to the days before all the social media buzz, participating in any sport was a very engaging and fun pastime that could keep students entertained. We can compare it with the pre-computer era when the children were not playing because they were told the benefits of games and sports, but it was the way of their life. Every street you found the children used to play. All the gardens full of children's shout. Every nook and corner, the children would invent new games which never required paraphernalias. But sports and games were happening. But the reality of today is very alarming. Either the children are forcibly sent to games by telling them the importance. As these younger generations evolve, statistics have shown a growing susceptibility of diseases, allergies, and even mental health issues for students and young people in general. Sports can provide an efficient yet indirect way of exercising. This significantly strengthens the body, hence enhancing the immune condition of the body on its own. It's no surprise, therefore, that the older generation spent less on treatment due to their fit dispositions. Unknown to many, sports activities can be a gateway to better opportunities for students. As students desist from participating in sports activities, higher cases of social issues and mental challenges are recorded. The act of participating in sport has actually been proved to be very therapeutic in nature. Children can develop better interaction skills such as conflict resolution and effective communication through sports. Teaching them social bonding and social survival techniques. Students who participate more in sport activities have been known to be less prone to mental ailments like social anxiety or depression. It is also a great way to make friends by having something in common to break the ice, something which a lot of young people struggle with. The distraction and efforts of engaging in sports is also a great way to iron the frustrations for most people. Students can easily learn to cope to their lives by expending their frustration on the playing field, especially in their early days of learning. Children can also improve their interpersonal attributes through sports. Participating as a member of a team will definitely act as a team building exercise and enhance leadership or interpersonal skills, which will help to spruce up their CVs when they are hunting for the job. While talking about how to make a positive youth development through sports in time, like this, where the school sports activities or playground games are impossible, there are three ways we can effectively spearhead a positive sports recreation among the children. The first is by keeping them connected. Schools and parents can start by encouraging their children to connect with teammates and friends virtually over video conferencing apps such as FaceTime, Google Hangouts, and Zoom. Schools should arrange regular PT or yoga periods where they can host a fun virtual group workshop session. We can also take the advantage of social media by turning for ideas. We should encourage the children to participate in skill-based challenges. There are plenty of ideas which schools can use for keeping with their students' agility. Even their parents can contribute by reviving a long forgotten skipping and somersaults as games should be promoted by them. Even sitting games like Ludo, Snakes and Ladders, Carom could be helpful for mental relaxation. Thirdly, the most importantly, it is for us to ensure to keep them practicing. Schools and parents can empower their kids to come up with their own routines. With a mix of technical drills and physical activity, and encourage them to do their routines daily. Many parents are also working from home and might find their own routines difficult to manage, but quickly checking in with their kids and reminding them of the various ways they can still involved with sport can go a long way and helping both parents and children to cope with these uncertain times. All in all, children should be immensely encouraged to participate in various sports activities and realize their unexpressed energy to lead a happier and brighter life. As participating in sport activities, they have proven to provide not only physical but also psychological and social benefits to the young ones. It increases mental alertness, self-esteem, and confidence of the children, which is an essential part of their growth. In a nutshell, students must participate in sports activities to derive a vigorous and healthy life. This is all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for those wonderful thoughts. Gives us a real insight into the various benefits that sport offers to any child. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we will now introduce our next participant. The next speaker that we have is Dr. Jogiswar Goswami, who is a sports person, an educationist, an author, an administrator, a teacher, a trainer, a resource person, and a musician. He's had more than 20 years of teaching and administrative experience in the fields of physical education and sports. He's currently working as the assistant director and associate professor at the Amity School of Physical Education and Sports Sciences at the Amity University, Noida. He's also working as the convener of CBSE Physical Education and Sports Board since 2017. As an educationist, he completed the bachelor's, master's, and MPhil with first division and was topper in MPhil. He cleared the NET exam for lecturership in 1997 and was awarded the PhD in 2003. He has published more than 20 research papers in physical education and sports. He successfully guided 6 MPhil and 5 PhD scholars who had been awarded their degrees. He is also currently guiding 5 PhD scholars. He has authored 16 books, worked as the HOD in physical education in schools, has had 5 years of teaching experience in schools, and 16 years of teaching experience in colleges and universities. As a trainer, he's had 7 years of fitness training experience in various reputed organizations and as a celebrity trainer. He is a CBSE resource person. Since 2017, he's been the convener of the committee, and he has conducted multiple webinars on fitness and physical activity. As a sports person, he has 3 national medals in gymnastics and aerobics. He is a 2 times Assam state champion in gymnastics with more than 20 individual medals. He has played 12 nationals in gymnastics, aerobics, and trampoline, and a district medalist in judo, armed sports, and for the best physique. He's produced Delhi state medalist at junior level and international medalist in Invitational Aerobics Championship in the US. In case you're looking at his photo and wondering why Dr. Goswami looks very familiar, he was once part of the popular Hindi pop band Aryans, who produced 2 pop albums. He is a passionate musician and plays more than 30 musical instruments and a specialist in saxophone and percussion instruments. It is our privilege to have Dr. Goswami with us today. Over to you, sir. Dr. Goswami, you there?
Thank you so much. Yeah, I am here. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abhishek. I welcome everyone. Almost 231 participants are here as a participant for this webinar. And frankly speaking, it's very difficult for me to sit in one place and, deliver a lecture or maybe, take a session. It is very, very difficult for me. So excuse me for whatever mistake I will do, because, it's really very difficult it's difficult to constrain me at one place and talk about sports or play or physical activity. So anyway, I'll try to do the justice, and I'll try to share the screen first. Okay. Is it visible?
Yes, sir, we can see your screen.
Okay. So many information has been given to all the listeners and participants of the webinar by my previous panelist speakers. And I was listening, it was very, very informative. And thank you all the panelists for enlightening me and all present here with all your valuable informations. I was wondering suddenly why the world is talking about sports, physical activity, play, and all these things. I was actually wondering few months back why this is so. Why suddenly sports? Why suddenly physical activity? Why suddenly everybody is inclined towards a very, very active phase of life? It is not because of the coronavirus pandemic or something like this. It is just because what I have thought of, I might be wrong. It is, I think, just because they wanted to leave. They wanted to live a good life, or maybe they wanted to live more. The fear of taken the life away by the coronavirus, which is not seen it also, and it has actually stuck everybody. So what is the way to live? Nobody was thinking before that what are the ways and various means to live. Everybody was thinking and engaged with the concept how to earn, how more to earn, how much more and more to earn, and so on and so forth. People actually have forgotten to live. People actually have forgotten the concept of loving themselves, knowing themselves, realizing themselves, understanding themselves. This has suddenly come when life threat has been given to everyone. Yeah, this is very true. I have observed, and I think the participants who are here with me, if I get your participation, if I get your response, then as said by everyone, my endorphin levels will be higher and higher now sitting here and conversing with you, and thus I will also be able to increase your endorphin levels higher and higher, so that you feel motivated, I feel motivated, and thus so on and so forth. If you feel you need to respond in one of my observations, just put yes or no or whatever it is, whatever you feel like in the chat box. When I get this one, I will, as said, technically my endorphin levels will move higher. So coming to the concept of sports. So this is a life threat situation nowadays, which everyone is facing. So everybody is talking about sports, games, physical activity, because everyone knows that this is the only and only one of the important way to improve the immunity. Okay. People are talking about lot many injections or lot many medicines, lot many types of immunity boosters. But let me tell you one thing: those immunity boosters will only work inside our body if our body cells are opened like this. Our body cells are like this. Okay, if it is open, they will be able to they will be able to receive the informations, receive whatever is given physiologically, whatever is being given through any sort of impulse, right? So it is important to open up the cells. before we take any medicines or before we take any kada or whatever it is, what people say, immunity boosters or something like this. Okay, so exercise is one of, understand that exercise is one of the important component, and there is no shortcut. The way there is no shortcut for success, the way there is no shortcut to boost your immunity except exercise. So I'll go through this point, and one thing came to my mind. One thing again came to my mind while I was listening to all my panelists is like, you know, the condition of sports, condition of physical education, condition of, you know, the physical activity, play or sports or whatever you say, and technically in an academic forum, I will say condition of physical activity is just common to few concepts. The concept that came to my mind is like racism in the world. Do you think that racism should exist or should not exist? Yes, everybody will say it should not exist. But do you think that it has been abolished from the world? It's a question mark, right? And it's a big question mark. The answer everybody knows, right? And another thing is the concept of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao in Indian society. After we are worshipping, after the concept that we are worshipping thousands and thousands of, you know, goddess, which are depicted as mother. We worship mother goddess, we worship earth, we take earth as mother earth. And after all these good concepts, some concepts like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao still exist in our society. It's a question mark where we are heading. We say that we are secular, right? Are we secular? It's a big question mark. You know, this is what is the main, you know, जिसको बोलते हैं ये main मुद्दा है. This is what is a main focus component before any election in our country. So in the same way, the sports and physical education is surviving with all these, you know, thinking process. Everybody knows, everybody talks that sports is an integral part of this education process. We should encourage sports. You know, sports encourages, the inventive power within an individual, and everybody knows. And you know, in lots of webinars, in lots of conferences, we hear not many good things about sports. But do we respect the physical education teachers? Do we respect our sportsmen? Do we respect people who are actually coming from sports? Yes, I personally, if you ask me, I miss my stinking t-shirt. I miss those moments when I used to sweat out in the field, and people used to say, oh, just move away because you are stinking. I love this one. I love this one. Then I say, yes, I'm stinking because I am different than you. And it's very categorically, I say, I am different than you. That is why I can survive in this competitive society with a percentage of 59 and 58%. People are talking about 97 and 98%, 99 and 90, almost 100%, right? But I can survive in this society, in this competitive world, after, even if I have scored only 59% in my school, or maybe in the colleges 62, 65 or something like this, right? Because I knew the connect between the relation between the percentage, personality, success, and happiness. That is the most important thing which is lacking in today's education society forum system. Excuse me for if I'm sounding very raw, because that's how I present myself and that's how I am. Because I have gone through many phases of life where I have seen people saying yes to many things, no to many things, and coming to a common conclusion, right? Both are yes, both are no, something like this. So as I said, people knows that physical education or play is an integral part of academic process. Okay, here from here I will start. Yeah, our academic process means the academic process in the school, in the colleges, in the universities, supposed to focus the optimum development of a child in the physical domain, okay? It is supposed to, are we giving it to the society? Are the child is getting, along with the report card, along with the academic report card, is the child is given an fitness report card also? If yes, thumbs up. If no, we need to think, right? It's not that, schools are having good schools are having a good play field and good sports, instructors or coaches or physical education teachers. Yeah, few schools I have seen, the facilities are par excellence. But in those schools, the programs are going good, satisfactory, or excellent. Now, when I say these measurable content, we measure these content not from the report card. We measure measurable component by seeing the outcome in the behavior of the child. Sorry to say, when I walk through the corridor of any university, when I go to take any exam or something like this, I don't see people, that is the students, wishing the teachers, because maybe he is not from sports, or maybe that teacher does not take his maths class, or maybe that teacher does not take his Hindi class, right? There is a difference in the behavior. So who is responsible? His parents, the child, or the education system? Till today, if we get a call from my school teacher, with whom I am connected, it's a very obvious thing. I suddenly get up from my seat. I suddenly get up from my chair and say, "Good morning, good afternoon, ma'am. It's very nice to get a call from you." I mean, it becomes very obvious. Nobody at that time, no impulse, direct my brain or my muscles to contract or relax to make myself stand up. It is the behavior, it is the education process that have imbibed inside me this fact. And this is what was education. What is education now? This is something, in a very raw sense, it is a clientele business process. Education has become a commodity nowadays. Sorry to say, but yes, we need to little bit think. And one of my earlier speaker has really pointed out, we miss those days where we used to play endlessly. Now government has forcefully imposed one class, that is 2 periods every week. Why this is so? Why government has imposed 2 periods every week nowadays? Why not 1 class every day, exposure to all the students? What stops us? What stops us? That child will learn 1 maths formula lesser, or he or she will learn 1 physics or maths or biology component lesser? Why don't we understand one fact, that physical education, play, sports is an integral part of the academic process? I told you earlier also, if our body cells are not open, you sit in a study table for 2 hours, you will not be able to imbibe those 2 hour reading into your learning process, because your brain cells are not that awakened, not that opened up to receive everything, and forget about the process of remembering or something like this. So I'm so sorry I'm taking so much of time, because it's a free flow topic for me. Anyway, comes to the mental aspects, emotional aspects, social aspects, intellectual aspects, academic aspects. So our academic process needs to focus in all these aspects which are in front of your screen. And the coordination between all the aspects needs to be understood by the child and needs to be seen in the physical attire, mental behavior, and social aspects of the child. If we can see everything, yes, that means our education process is utmost thumbs up to this process. Now, why the concept of playway has come? What is the importance of playway? Everybody knows that, basic concept, basic, basic instinct of a child is nothing and nothing, only play, play, and play. If this is so, it gives a satisfaction. Sense of satisfaction is very, very important. I'll ask you, are you satisfied with your current position in your job? Are you satisfied with your family life? Are you satisfied with your happiness? Are you satisfied with your monetary constraints? Are you satisfied with the car that you are driving? Are you satisfied with your life? Okay, these questions. But ask a child, or maybe I'll ask you, whenever you go down to a play mode, or whenever you go down for a jogging or whatever it is, that is the most satisfactory time that you had. So if you want to actually understand what is satisfaction, go down to a play and push a child or throw a child, to that area of basic instinct, that is play. It gives an immense satisfaction. It gives a participation, that I am doing something. I am a part of a game. I'm a part of a play. I'm a part of a system. That participation feel gives a very, very high sense of responsibility in a child. We can't explain a child the sense of responsibility. But if you allow the child to participate in a game, he will, 100% he'll learn the sense of participation and equal exposure. A child, when he plays, he knows that he's exposed to n numbers of things, and he needs to, if he wants to win or if he wants to play well, he needs to give all the participants an equal, opportunity, and he also gets an equal exposure for everything. Learning by doing concept is the most important thing that a child learn by doing. Nobody teaches 100% techniques in your life. Nobody teaches all the life skills. All the life skills are learned on the play field. So it is learning by doing is one of the most, it is an inquisitive, behavior that a child learns while playing. Now, the play actually connects to the teacher, to the peer group. Now, everybody say that play actually increases the creativity. I would like to focus on this meditation concept. Why I have written meditation? Because, meditation is a very, touchy word, and it is, floating everywhere in the society. But I would like to, erase this concept of meditation and come down to the concept of focusing. Whenever a child plays, he develops the ability to focus, concentrate. And then afterwards, if he or she wants to inculcate or, cultivate this is more, then comes a meditation. Freely speaking, I can't meditate. If I sit also for a while, I only end up in focusing something, right? So focus, concentration first, meditation comes afterwards. Spiritual concept or spiritual connect, I find game play is the utmost way to connect spiritually. Now, spiritually, somebody feels spiritualism is something related to religion or something related to God or something related to soul, and beyond that, no. According to me, spiritualism is a state when you feel connected, 100% connected to yourself, nothing else. I'll repeat, whenever you feel 100% connected to yourself, that is spiritualism. And you can only feel that whenever you are participating in your best known interested sports. At least I can remember, if I participate in sports, I forget every pain which is there in my body. Even I forget who else are there in my family. I only remember me and my sports. That is the best connect. And that's how I say play improves the spiritual connect. Happiness and wellness. If all these above said parameters are taken into consideration, you are proving one step ahead in your wellness concept. Wellness, whatever I feel, it's a self-realization and introspection about yourself every day that surrounds me. Everything that surrounds me, am I connected to all the aspects that surrounds me in a day-to-day life? If I think so, I am already have taken one step ahead in the concept of wellness. Now, if I say happiness, everybody has said happiness, play improves happiness. Now, physiologically, actually, games and play improves the secretion of the hormones, that is endorphin, serotonin, dopamine. These are the happy hormones secreted. Everybody has focused into this physiological concept. It's a very common concept, right? You are happy if you are satisfied listening to me, if you're satisfied listening to this, sitting here in the webinar, that means your endorphins, your dopamine has been secreted by this concept. If you play this concept, you will feel more happiness because your dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins will be higher. Yes, it will also reduce the adrenaline and cortisol because these are the stress hormones. If everybody has got stress problems, go down to play something, do some exercise at home, whatever it is, just sweat it out. Just improve increase your pulse rate. That's all. By doing anything, you can do it by laughing heart out. That will also help you. Okay. Now it also facilitate the growth and development phase. Here I will focus growth and development not in terms of the muscular hypertrophy or the height or the weight or the density of the muscles, but here I will focus that growth and development only occurs whenever your metabolism in the body is higher. The metabolism is optimum. Earlier also I told you, somebody has taken a glass of milk with your turmeric, you can say like haldi. That glass of milk will only be helpful if your body cells are open like this. So that means if your metabolic process is optimum, higher, then the benefit of taking one glass of milk will help you, because then and then only from that the protein metabolism will be optimum. It will extract more and more protein to the cell. The carbohydrate metabolism is higher, optimum, so that it will extract more and more carbohydrate and produce energy, give energy, stored energy. If your fat metabolism is optimum, then your stored energy level will be higher. So these concept of growth and development is actually I am focusing to the higher metabolic rate. Now, if games and sports increase gives you a better metabolic rate, there is no shortcut to games and sports. Now, what sort of games and sports can be done during this pandemic stage, during this pandemic situation? Yes, there is one common saying like, please don't ask your child what not to do, show them what to do. Now, it is a time for every parents also, or every elder who are there at home and wants their little one or a child wants to be active. Now, don't ask them, do this one. Please do with them. Please do with them. By doing activity with them, you will improve your immune system. You will improve your happiness. You will improve your whatever happy hormones and reduce your stress hormones, whatever it is. And plus, the young ones will be motivated by seeing father, mother, or uncle, or whomsoever is there at home exercising along with them. So few games like, according to the age group, card puzzles, dominoes, treasure hunts, bowling, dartboard, indoor golf, or something. There are many games. I have just listed few, and you can plan your activity according to the task that you want to develop in your child. If you want to develop creativity or creative thinking or something like, or you can play treasure hunt with them. You can, if you want to again play the concept of sense of balancing and concept of thinking, you can play dominoes, puzzles, or you can, if you want to play focus, or that I told you that will help you to focus, meditate, or something like this, you can play dartboard or something like any other thing. Skipping, dancing, aerobics, Zumba, yoga, circuit activity, self-competitive activities are very, very important. You need to expose your child to compete against his will. Sometimes we say in the morning, it's very difficult to get up from the bed. But if the child realizes, no, it is the time to work out, it is the time to time for the exam, it is the time for me to get ready. If this realization comes, no child has to be No parents will struggle while, keeping the child out of the bed in the morning, taking the child out of bed in the morning, right? This realization, the component of self-competitive activities will help this sort of behavioral improvement in the child. And if it is a higher level in your age group, you can, exercise with TheraBand, planks, medicine balls, Swiss ball, kettlebell, Tabata, body resistance exercise. These are all, I have taken many things from the net. You people can also take, go down to the YouTube and search for these activities. And please, you can also, compose your own sense of activity doing according to the need, according to the level of, state of your fitness. Now, one thing which I would like to focus is this set of combination exercise, which actually technically is known as high intensity interval training, HIIT, but not to focus on high intensity training, but to just introduce the concept of self competition, body resistance, then high intensity, and this combination exercise I would like to focus upon. I'll take 2 minutes of yours just to make you clear what is the importance of high intensity exercise, combination exercise. What happens if I ask everyone how much time do you exercise? Everybody will say like half an hour, 1 hour, 40 minutes, 1 hour, 10 minutes, or something like this. So why we need to exercise, and when we exercise, what happens? How we measure our exercise? So these are many questions. So basically, and very, very basically, I will tell you, if we exercise, we actually are exercising our muscles. Do you think that we are exercising our muscles, bones, joints? No, we are indirectly exercising also our heart and the lungs and the circulatory system and the hormonal system and everything, lymphatic system, and all these components of, balance, stability, everything. For everything we are exercising. So if it is so, we need to be very, very economical. In the business world, I have learned a word known as economical. So I have economical concept of exercise. I have added this one because it's a very catchy term, to be very, very economical. So that means you exercise for a smaller duration of time and get the most benefit. That means if you can uplift your pulse rate, heart rate to a submaximal level or a maximum level, say, to 140 beats per minute, for example. No, okay, I'll give you a formula also, that is just 220 minus your age. 220 minus your age is the target heart rate. It should be your target heart rate. Okay, if and please minus 5% from them to be in a safer side, because I don't know what is your state of fitness. So I have minus 5% or maybe 10%, and that should be your target heart rate when you exercise. And how to measure this target heart rate? Just put your 2 fingers in this carotid artery here, or maybe here. That is the radial artery. You can feel the pulse rate. Measure the pulse rate for 1 minute. That is your heart rate. That's how you are working. That heart is working. Okay. Now, if you do an exercise, so if your heart rate moves to whatever figure that you got, 60%, that is a submaximal. If you are getting 80%, that is the high intensity. You have touched the high intensity. So do one thing. You prepare 3 or 4 exercises at home. Right? Everybody knows how to do push-ups. Everybody knows how to do sit-ups. Everybody knows how to go for straight jumps. Everybody knows how to turn your body, or few things. These are whatever exercise you know. Now try to do this set of exercise. Prepare 4 exercise. Set of 4 exercise. Perform it only for 5 repetitions. I think everybody present here will be able to do push-ups for 5 times, sit-ups for 5 times, straight jumps for 5 times, or maybe jump and make your body tuck like this for 5 times and open it. So that's enough. If you do this set of exercise once, you will see that you have raised the body pulse rate to 80%. That's how you have touched. You have touched once, leave it, rest for 30 seconds and do this exercise once again. Again, rest for 30 seconds, do it for once again. So if you only exercise for 5 minutes at one stress, your exercise benefit is enough for your body. That's enough for the body to benefit, to get the maximum benefit, right? And practice this one only twice a day. Twice a day. If you want to improve, increase the load, increase the times of repetition. Instead of 3 repetitions, 5 repetitions, you go for 6. Want to increase more, you go for 7. That's how. Okay, it will not take more than 5 to 10 minutes. Believe me. So 10 minutes of exercise in the morning or evening or whatever it is, whatever time you get, do it. And once in the other time, at the other time of the day, that's all. Okay. Yes. If you want to improve the cardiorespiratory endurance in your body, then you will have to go for a minimum of 20 minutes of jogging. But nowadays we can't do that because restriction of going out. So we can do all these sort of exercise which will improve your muscle endurance, the strength, stability, balance, coordination by doing this combination set of exercise. So I have for you one video this video is only for 45 seconds. Okay, by doing these exercises, I have taken my heart rate to this highest intensity, that is 165 or 170 beats per minute, right? After that, I have taken a rest for, you can say like 30 seconds. If you are trained enough, if you're not trained enough, take a rest for 1 minute and perform these repetitions once again. Again, taken a rest for 1 minute. Again, you take rest for 1 minute. And this is how 3 times, if you do, you will get a wonderful benefit. Now, these exercises are only exemplary. You can design your own exercise. Okay, so let me play this. These are only combination of exercises which has been done for 45 seconds or 50 seconds, if I'm not wrong. And I have taken a break after this set of exercise for 1 minute and then continued the same set for 3 times. So this will help you to improve your heart rate to a highest level of intensity. And how will you measure it? I have given you the formula 220 minus your age, that is the target heart rate, but don't target this heart rate minus 5% or 10%, seeing your fitness level and all. So next video is of little bit higher load, because here I have introduced an high impact, or you can select body impact exercise, which is known as straight jumps or tuck jumps. It gives high impact to our joints. Rest all are same. Just watch this video. This video is also for 40-45 seconds, not more than that. But combination of only one exercise, lounge. This is the first exercise. This is the second exercise, jumping, tuck jump, and then coming to the hand support position. So there are only 4 exercises which is consecutively done, performed for 5 times, and that's all. Okay, so this is what is the benefit of combination set of exercise. Now you can, with the small kids at your home, you can plan 4 exercise, 5 exercise, and do it with them. Ask them to do with them. You can check your pulse rate. Are you touching the high intensity level, or are you at the 60% of your level, workout level, intensity level? That's how you can measure the intensity of the workout. How much I have worked out. So this is how you can measure. So I have come down almost to the last part of the presentation. Sorry for taking so much of time. See, the current pandemic situation is being affected to the, it has affected all the people, and the most common people who are affected are immunocompromised people, people who have less immunity, low immunity rather, low immunity. They are more susceptible to this virus. And people with good immunity, research has proved that, people who exercise, their T cells are very, very high, very, very high. T cell counts are high. Now, what are T cells? If we know that immunity, from the concept of immunity, zoom it down to WBC, that is the white blood cells, zoom it down to the T cells and B cells in the WBC. That means if we exercise, the count of WBC are higher, that is the count of the T cells and the B cells are higher. So that's how we are having more and more immunity. Now, what are these T and B cells? In 30 seconds, I will tell you. T cells are the soldiers and B cells are the defense mechanism, and that is intelligence in the defense mechanism. In our body, we have antibodies. The foreign bodies, the foreign virus or microorganisms that comes, they are the antigens. So the B cells actually identify these foreign systems in our body which are harmful, and identify and takes to the T cells, inform the T cells, and the T cells brings all the damages and fights with the antigens and make them move away from our body or defeats them or whatever it is. So this is the concept. Exercise shows that T cells improves. That is, everywhere it is only exercise and exercise and exercise, play or whatever it is. So nowadays, in every webinar, in every forum, everybody is talking about immunity and exercise. Good to hear everybody that everybody is, wanting to live more happily and more successfully, you can say, like. So please stay happy, stay healthy, stay fit by eating sensibly, taking proper rest, sleep, meditating, and don't forget to exercise. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your patience hearing. Thank you one and all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Goswami, for those wonderful examples, especially those videos. Honestly speaking, I was looking at that and getting quite envious of your level of fitness. Thank you so much, sir. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to move on to our final speaker for today. Our final speaker is Mr. Swaminathan K. Mr. Swaminathan is the principal of the Delhi Public School International in Uganda, East Africa. He is a well-known educationalist, possessing 16 years of experience in school education sector. With a passion towards teaching, he started the career as a science teacher in the year 2004. He continued to grow and excel in school education sector as coordinator, vice principal, and principal. And after serving in various schools in India, he finally moved to Uganda with a rich experience and joined DPSI Uganda in the year 2016. He now heads the only CBSE school in that country, through which the maximum number of Indian students in Uganda are enjoying the rich taste of Indian education system. He excelled in sports during his school and college days, being the athletics district champion. He strongly believes that sports and games develop various skills among children. Good evening, sir, and Jambo. Habari yako? Mr. Swaminathan, are you there?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Jambo, habari yako?
Yeah, fine.
Sorry to keep you waiting, sir. Over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks to the notebook organizers and the topic for today's session, Let's Play. In fact, I feel like I have attended a wonderful session. In fact, like a class by Dr. Jogiswar Goswami. In fact, he has covered A to Z of sports. So nothing much to go beyond that, but still I would like to share my views regarding sports. So in today's scenario, if you see, the whole world is speaking about the health of each and every individual. And according to the World Health Organization, as we all know, health has 3 dimensions: The first dimension is being the physical dimension, second dimension being the mental dimension, and third dimension being the social dimension. And related to our topic, if you see the first dimension, physical dimension, is directly related to the health of the person. And without this physical dimension, there is no proper health for any individual. If they fail to take care of their physical fitness, even if they are mentally strong, if they are socially well-being, still they cannot be termed as a healthy individual. So an healthy individual, if you see, they should be physically, mentally, and socially well-being. As one of the proverb or quote says, the most important wealth now and always in this world is health. When wealth is lost, nothing is lost. We can earn the wealth. When health is lost, something is lost. That means you will not be able to involve in much activities, so it is going to affect us. And by involving in sports, we are building our character. And when the character is lost, whatever we have in our life is lost. As we know, the sports is directly related to the health, and sports do not build character, they reveal it. What a person is, what a child is, what a student is, everything is revealed when they involve themselves in sports. And as we all know this familiar quote, a sound mind is in a sound body. Because generally, if you see most of the parents, teachers, they say that if you involve too much in sports, you will not be able to excel in education. Still, many are thinking like that, but it is not like that. When a child involve much in sports, involve much in games, they develop a good physique, which indirectly develops a sound mind, using which they will be able to excel in education. I hope my screen is visible, sir.
Yes, sir, we can see your screen.
Yeah, if you see this particular presentation, what I'm showing now, this particular picture, this is how we develop sports in our school, that is DPS Uganda, which consists of around 700 Indian students. We give more importance for sports because we believe in a different way regarding sports. So if you take sports, it has completely filled with life skills. So yes, in the word sports stands for social skills, which is very, very important for each and every individual to be a successful person in the life, let it be in personal life or in professional life. Then the letter P in sports stands for physical fitness, which is directly related to the health of the individual. As I told, if this is affected, whatever we have, it is of no use. The third letter, the word sports, O, stands for obedience, which the child develops when they involve in games and sports. And R, it stands for resourcefulness, innovativeness. We don't know what kind of thinking will come into a child when they involve in sports. If they have the determination to win, they will think in all different way, in using all innovatives, and then their motto is only to win. And by involving in all group games, the students develop a spirit of teamwork. And teamwork, it is not only in workplaces, even the family, there should be a team spirit. The family is a team. So this skill is also developed when a child is involved in sports. And last but not the least, yes, it is for stress tolerance, adaptability. So winning and losing. By involving in sports, a student will learn indirectly how they have to adapt when they win. At the same time, when they lose in a game, how they will be able to adapt themselves. So all these life skills could be gained by a student when they involve in sports. And it is the major role of the school administration or the school authorities to give this chance for all the kids to involve in sports, so that indirectly they can develop all the skills which cannot be developed in the school.
Sir, we can't hear you if you can hear my audio. Mr. Swaminathan, sir, yeah, we can hear you now, sir. Thank you.
What about the screen visibility, sir? Is it visible?
Yes, sir, very much.
Yeah. So it is the main responsibility of the school authorities to provide this wonderful opportunity to all the kids, because we understand that due to the curriculum burden or something, in some schools, there is some kind of lacking. I mean, the schools are not ready to give that much chances for the students to involve in sports. And our school being affiliated to CBSE, as you know, CBSE in the recent times, they have given more importance for health and physical education. In fact, we have two members in our panel who are directly involved in CBSE and also in NCRT. Thanks to them also. It's a very good initiative because health and physical education is very much important for the overall development of the children. As suggested by CBSE, if all the schools are able to allot every day one period for physical education, that will be the best period of the day. Because when they involve in sports and games, the child gets that much relaxation, and with the fresh mindset, if they start learning, it will be very good for them to excel in academics also. So sports and academics, in many places it is seen as two different areas, but both should be blended together. Because generally what is happening in many schools, the students who are involved in sports are not appreciated all the time. I think the panelists will agree with me. Only during the sports day time or during the time of the zonal meet or district meet, divisional meet, or whatever it is, when they come with the winning note, that time the sports people are recognized. Apart from those timing, most of the timing, the high recognition or appreciation or motivation is given to the students who are excelling in academics. Many schools, even if you see in recent time, recently we got the results for class 10 and 12. Schools were uploading the photographs of the students who are coming out with their excellent results in academics and other things. But that kind of appreciation is not given to the students who are excelling in sports that much. If a child who is not involved in sports, scoring 99%, 90% in academics, or 95% in academics, is given so much appreciation, but the same student, another student who is involved in sports and then scoring 80% is not given that appreciation. In fact, if you see both the student, one only with academic and another one who is involved in sports and academics, if you see the overall skill or overall development in both these students, the first one who is involved in sports and academics will have lot of skills what is needed for his life. Whereas the student who is involved in academics will have sound knowledge, but what is the main skills needed for the life he may lack. So what we have to do, we have to identify these students also who are excelling in sports and academics, give them more motivation so that they also get motivated and then they excel in life. And one more thing regarding this is generally they will say that science stream student, they will be focusing on medicine or they will focus on engineering, so they should not divert their mind. They should not involve much in physical education. This also should be minimized in our education sector. As it is suggested by the education board, compulsory we have to provide a health and physical education, which will be helpful for the students to excel in their academics also. And nowadays there is a threat for the health and physical education sector also because of these online games. Some parents who are well-to-do, who are ready to provide all the devices to the kids, they are indirectly putting their children in a dangerous zone, that is into online games. Because if you see 50% of the online games which are coming up are not with the great motto. Second thing, by playing online games, the physical activity of the child is keeping on reducing. Okay, some games they help to increase the mental power or whatever it is, but most of the games, if you see, they are decreasing the physical activities, which will affect the physique of the child. As most of the things have been covered by the previous panelists, I would like to share my own experience here. During the school days, if you see, I am little bit not so strong in mathematics. So I used to have a state of fear towards maths. So even in class 10, it was told that I still remember whether he will be able to score the pass marks. Whereas in sports, I was excelling as the champion. But in academic part, all other subjects I used to get 60 to 70. But in mathematics, always I used to be in the border marks. And because of this, even my teachers used to tell whether he will be able to clear the exam or not, like that. So hearing those kind of words, even I lost my motivation. I went to a stage of fear, whether I will be able to pass the exam or not. And this will happen in many cases. There are many students will not have the chance to get the right guidance at all. So I analyzed which is the area where I'm strong or where I'm weak. Then I still remember the next day is the mathematics board examination. Previous day morning, I was completely low in confidence. So the same day afternoon, we had a cricket match in which I participated, won the game. That raised my self-confidence. With that same self-confidence, I just sat for that evening and night, prepared myself, appeared in the exam, cleared the exam. Then I did my further studies. So like this, there are a lot of skills which the children will learn when they involve in sports and games. So it is the main purpose of the school authorities to give the exact chance for all the students to excel in sports also. Hello, sir.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah. With this things, there is one more quote also. Whenever you involve in sports, we will be aiming higher. That aiming high should be inculcated in all the students whenever they are into sports activities. Hello?
Yes, sir. Would that be your concluding?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. So thank you so much for being here with us today. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. I'm sure you're doing a wonderful job in Uganda. I'm a little familiar with the country there, and I know it's not going to be an easy job. So all the best for your stint in Uganda and East Africa. Thank you. Thank you so much for being with us today. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the close of today's session. There have been some questions, but I've seen that Barrett sir has answered most of them. Before we leave, a last reminder that the 0-hour online inter-school debate has already started. We have 64 schools participating from across India, Middle East, and Africa. And today the first debate happened between a school in Oman and a school in Thane, Mumbai. It was a phenomenal debate. The recording would be up on our YouTube channel soon. And I'm sure more such brilliant debates would be coming. The grand finale is on 15th of August, and we hope to inculcate a culture of public speaking and greater deliberation amongst the students through this initiative. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll hand you over to Achin for the vote of thanks. Thank you so much for being here today. Achin, over to you.
So I think very insightful and informative session we had today. And indeed, I'm sure, just like me, everyone in the audience feels motivated and charged up. Barrett sir, creativity and play have a very close relation. And I agree with you when you say role plays, impulse control. These are very important areas that you have rightly highlighted. Words of wisdom from someone like you who has been a sportsman himself and also aced in the education landscape of the nation. Really very inspiring. Thank you indeed. Mr. Sanjay Dutta, I really liked that part when you said that it used to give us the happiness which we miss. I think that's a brilliant way to start. It's something to practice throughout our lives. And yes, you're right. Eminent academic institutions all over the world are not only known for their eminence in academics, but for all-round development. Eton is a very appropriate example.
Thank you, Achin.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Anupama Shah, great to know about your innovative ways of engaging with children during lockdown. Really appreciate that. And a very interesting way in which you put forward the point, the role of social media and how it really jostles for time share and mind space with sports. Very practical. Dr. Goswami, great session. I think all of us learned a lot from you today. Exercise is an immunity booster and there are no shortcuts. We understand. We should really aim at optimum development of a child in the physical domain. What I really liked is the way your entire presentation, very passionate, especially the videos you shared. It motivates all of us to work hard. And honestly speaking, there are no excuses not to exercise. Yes, we all have our own share of responsibilities and work, but honestly speaking, the benefits far outweigh the effort. And especially during these trying times, very rightly pointed out, immunity to be boosted by WBC and the role of T cells and B cells. I'm sure everyone in the audience feels motivated to exercise. And if that happens, it will really make our purpose of hosting this session come alive. Mr. Swaminathan, I think very nice quote. I really like the fact when you said, sports do not build character, they reveal it. And it's true that sports has completely filled up life skills. I guess mature blending of sports and academics is what is really important. Great deliberation. And especially the last part of it, aiming high. Ladies and gentlemen, I guess that's the spirit of the evening, aiming high. I think great session. And I really thank the audience for being a part of this and for encouraging us at Notebook in each and every session that we have been hosting so far. Today is the 23rd edition of our Together for Education webinars. We look forward to having you with us in our next session coming Wednesday, same time, 5 p.m. in the evening. Thank you, take care and goodbye.
Thank you, bye-bye.
Thank you.